This is Nursing Uncensored. I'm your host, Adrianne Benning, and I invite you to listen in on conversations I've had with real nurses about the crazy and wonderful lives we lead. This podcast is meant to create laughter in addition to serious discussion, and nothing is off limits. We're always honest, but we're not always safe for work. Please listen responsibly. Welcome to Nursing Uncensored. I am your host, Adrianne, and I am here today with a special guest. I am here today with my coworker and friend, Chen. She is actually a nurse that I've been working with for about the last year? Is that right?
Yes.
Welcome, yes. Chen. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chen. I'm a very good friend with Adrianne, and love to work with her.
Yeah, same. So I would love to just, if you're okay with it, I just want to jump right in and start talking. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Definitely. I am originally from China, so I'm, quote, like made in China. And, and I came to the United States at the age of 22. I came to Texas, Dallas to pursue my graduate study in sociology. And after 2 years, I decided to go into nursing. I finished my prerequisite courses back in Dallas and then moved to University of Iowa for a bachelor degree of nursing. And then after I graduated, I practiced my nursing job in the University of Iowa hospital and clinics for about a year or a little more. But that's my very brief story of my background.
Mm-hmm. It's been great to watch you go from like a new nurse into I can see the way you're always kind of, I don't know, I feel like you're a really conscientious nurse. I think your focus is admirable. And I don't know, we've had some experiences where we've helped each other do things that we were struggling with. And I have nothing but good, little blips of memories of times that we've worked together, helped each other, times we've unclogged feeding tubes together or found that tough vein. There are all these little moments. So I have enjoyed working with you. And let's talk a little bit about kind of what your future holds and why we're doing this now, why we're trying to hurry up and get this episode recorded, because you've got some changes right in front of you now.
Yes, exactly. Because of my visa status, I need to get off my job not very long ago. And my visa is going to expire pretty soon because I'm still holding a student visa. So the story was, as an international student, right after you got graduated, you will have approximately 1 year to practice. It's called optional internship practicing. Mm-hmm. It's more like a visa status with that. So 1 year of practicing, most of other students will go further if they find a good employer that is willing to help them pursue a working visa. That's the further step that they're going to go into. But nursing is actually a little specialty. And right now, there's no way for an international nursing student to apply a working visa here in the United States. We have a different type of visa, but that visa is already expired. So right now, after being struggled for a couple months, I decided to terminate my job at the very end of the visa expiration day. And then I decided to go back home, back to China in the near future. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So I don't want to make you feel sad, but I want to talk about the realities of this is that you have a job that you're good at and that you like, and we like you. And now because of the paperwork of things, essentially, you leave and you don't have the option. There's not a way. And that's unfortunate that nursing, because as we know, it's not like we're overflowing with nurses in this country.
Right,
we need nurses. I feel that it is disappointing that there's no other reason. You're not being fired. You're not bad at your job. You're not unhappy. This is just an really unfortunate situation.
Exactly. Because, I feel sad as well. I wish I could practice more here. The thing is, I did some research on nursing visa, what is the paperwork that they had. Story is, there was a kind of special visa that called H1C that is specially for registered nurse for like as a non-immigrant temporary worker classification that they're trying to introducing like more foreigner nurses into the United States and they can work and live here. That one was introduced in 1999 and for the shortage of nurse in the United States, but right now and it terminate
terminate, yeah, like it ended,
in 2009. I mean, the page is still on the immigration website,
but it's not available anymore.
Yeah, it's not available right now. So but I think what they want, the Department of Labor want to do is they want to see more and more American people go into nursing field instead of more foreign international
people
nurses
from other
coming.
countries. Sure.
Exactly. Yes.
Which, I do understand that, but at the same time, I look around, like, especially at our hospital, we're a level 1 trauma center. We're a teaching hospital. The majority of the professionals that I work with are not from the United States, not our physicians, not our surgeons, not, we have all this talent from all over the world. And I feel like if you are a talented medical professional of any level of licensure, that I think you should be able to go where the hell you want because there are people that need your help. So perhaps I'm a little too opinionated about it, but I think it's unfortunate. I think it's a misstep. I understand the reasoning. There's always two sides to every argument, though, So that's kind of where we're at right now. And that's why I wanted to really talk to you about this, because not only is this kind of a pivotal change for you, but also we do have a lot of international nurses, and we've had other nurses that have worked on our unit that have had kind of the same situation. And I know that one of the other nurses I believe the other nurse I'm thinking of left the hospital before you came on to work with us. But I believe she, and I might be totally mistaken, I've only heard rumors, but I believe that she found like a travel nursing company that was willing to sponsor her. So how does that work with sponsorships? And like could you, in theory, you find like a school or an employer somewhere else in the country that might consider a sponsorship?
Yes, that will be one of the options that I have right now. There are some like law firms or like agencies that are still able to sponsor international nurses to work here in the United States. At the same time, they're able to help us applying for citizenship, like green card. Yes, that will be an option. And I looked at it not very long ago, and I talked to a girl that left already and asked her something about that. But what she had me was we have to work in a certain places that they assign us to. And these hospitals might be very, very, very shortage of nurses. And
so it's not always ideal. You might be going to a hospital where the job is staffing is unsafe, or it's not something you enjoy. I mean, there's a whole lot of things to consider.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to go. It might be in very rural places that I need to adjust with. So the other problem is different countries. So for applying a citizenship, people from different countries have different lines that they're going to go for. So in case we apply for citizenship, we have to wait for certain years to submit the application materials or wait for the improvement. It takes a while. So
more
for
paperwork,
some countries, it's shorter. And as long as I know, for Chinese people, it's going to be like at least 3 or 4 years, which means in the future, if I have a contract bonding with that agencies, I need to work with them for a certain amount of year that I don't know what time that I can get the green card eventually. And yeah, it's more like I don't know, just get that bound and I cannot break it.
Yeah. And also, that's a lot of uncertainty because 3 to 4 years is a really long time.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even have any plans to move anywhere, and I wouldn't want to sign a 4-year contract somewhere. So, yeah, it sounds like, yes, there are options, I say with air quotes, but really some of them just aren't viable. They're just not, they're not really options for everyone.
Right. Yeah.
And
one thing, yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I just want to mention is for these agencies that we can work with, because we're at like an inferior position comparing to them. So they are the controllers. So they can decide at where we're going, what job that we're doing, and they actually taking, I think, a big amount of our salaries into their pocket and say, yeah, this is the fee that you're going to apply a green card.
And then they can basically send you anywhere for a length of time that they determine, and you don't have any recourse against it. That sounds terrible. I wouldn't want to do that either. Yeah. So I want to, this is all fascinating, and my brain is going like 100 different directions with questions. I want to back up for a second. I want to actually back up quite a bit. And I want to hear about like what sort of preparation you had to do to even come to the United States to work, or because you came here to go to school, basically.
Right.
So I would love to hear a little bit more. I know we're jumping around, but like, let's take it back a little bit and then we can move forward again on the timeline. But I'm really interested. The thing I keep thinking about that really makes me admire you so much is that I'm sorry, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 29.
You're 29. Okay. So this is young. This is very young. And this isn't even the beginning of your journey. Like you've clocked a year, you've done a 4-year bachelor's degree program. So we're not talking like you started this when you were in your early 20s. So you've been away. That would be like me leaving the United States and going somewhere else and not coming back for 6 years and thriving. Like, even though there's this mess with like where you're going to be and the paperwork around it, like you are a good nurse. You seem well adjusted. You seem happy from what I can tell from when I've worked with you. So I would love to hear more about your decision to like literally leave home, like essentially by yourself on this huge adventure. Like that's a big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
And most Americans don't do stuff like this. They'll like go abroad for a summer. Like, what is this?
It happens. Yeah. For the very beginning, when the decision that I made to come to the United States, I had absolutely no idea. I just want to go someplace else where I can live on my own and try to see if I can do it or not. This is the very, very first, the feeling that I had to move here. And most of the time, it was like there are people around you that's doing the same, and you were thinking, oh, that might be a very good choice for me as well. So I'm going. So there are a lot. As you can see, there are a lot of international students that choosing to go for a higher education here in the United States, as well as a lot of countries around the world. So this might be like a very popular trend. A
good choice.
Right.
The world is smaller. We can get jobs across the world and actually go do them if we have the courage to actually do it. Yeah.
Right. And after I've been here, I've been struggling a lot about like language barriers, culture shocks. Not very big one, but very small.
Sure.
For every day. And especially for sociology, not a lot of international students going for like a social science study. I was the only international student in my class. And yeah, I was very unconfident about even though going into the class and talk to my classmates there. So it's been happens that interchange.
I mean, I just go to different states in the United States and I feel culture shock. So I can imagine. I'm really curious, would you talk a little bit about that? Some things that maybe were, I don't know, most surprising, or things that were the hardest to adjust to, or things that just, I don't know. I'm just very interested.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here too.
Right. That's okay. There was a lot of stories that I had in my mind. I just don't know which one to start off.
So did you start learning English like in primary school? Was it a second language, or did you learn it? Did you make a choice to learn English?
It's more like a mandatory subject that we do since our elementary school. So it's actually, English is the major subject that we need to take exam for like every couple of weeks to get it tested. Yeah, I've been learning English when I was, I think, 9 to 10 years old. So it's already been a long time. I've known English, but actually before I came to the United States, I am more like I couldn't speak. The things I learned English is from the paper and from the exams. That I know. I know a lot of vocabulary, but it's more like a testing based English version instead of like a real life communication purpose.
Sure.
Right.
So then that was probably a huge change to deal with when you came to the United States.
Right. Yeah. At very first, when I came here, sometimes I feel very reluctant to talk to people. And it's like, even for saying like, how are you? Like, that's kind of stuff. It's more like when I meet in the people, like they're probably 20 feet away from me, my brain has started to rehearsal like what I'm going to say.
That's what I do when I have patients. Here in the United States, a lot of us, we either learn Spanish because Mexico is south of us, or we learn French because, Canada is north of us. And I learned Spanish, but it's the same way. Like I'd see somebody who I knew was Spanish speaking. And as I'm approaching them, I'm like, oh, wait, how do I say good afternoon? And even though I haven't lived abroad, like I know what that feels like. I'm like, oh,
yeah. So at very first, I don't want to go outside to meet people. I wish I could stay home and
where it's safe and you can because I think about the anxiety that I have even when I'm casually talking with like a Spanish speaking patient. When I come in and I say to them, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but you need to talk, like I always say, I speak a little, but you need to speak slowly so I can understand you easily. And most people are appreciative of that. But even as I'm starting to say that, I'm like, okay, wait, is that the right word? And I also learned German for a while in college. So sometimes when I'm trying to speak Spanish, a German word slips in because my brain is like trying to calculate too many languages at once. And it's one thing when I'm trying to do it just to like make my patient feel safe and comfortable. It's different when you're like, I need to acquire food and like pay my bills and like get to work, get to school. So I think that's very brave.
No, yeah, oh yeah. but yeah, I'm very proud of myself did that.
The other thing is we have to add another level to this. Nursing is highly technical. Like there are words, English words, nursing words that I have difficulty saying. And so then you have a language barrier on top of the fact that you're learning highly technical words that have like 15 syllables in them. So how did that go?
I was thinking actually nursing, like more like a medical terminologies weren't a very big challenge for me. I mean, it's as long as it's challenge for everybody, we are on the same level.
True. Okay. Very true. Yes.
It's more like we're learning another language from the same level. And
you're starting from the same base.
Yes.
And I guess also now that I really think about it, medical terminology is like very like There are very concrete things about it. So I guess when I think about that, that would be much more, I want to say easy because it's standardized. Whereas like having a conversation with someone might be a completely different challenge altogether.
Right. Yeah.
So when did you start to feel like you were actually beginning to acclimate and like feeling more confident? At what point did you start going outside again, Chen?
Probably not until I came here in Iowa, became a nursing student. It takes probably about 3 to 4 years. And I mean, it's more like how the nursing courses are being organized, because there will be a lot of like practicums, like labs, small groups, discussion stuff that we need. It's more like the environment pushing me into the area that I have to say something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And have to communicate, have to let other people understand me as well as I understand what they're saying. Yeah.
So that's good. So that was not only the technical aspect of learning nursing, but then also the act of like actually interacting with people and having these like a different kind of connection than just like transactional, like I need to go to the grocery store or I need to go to the doctor. It's more like you can, you know, like with any science, you're building ideas and you're learning concepts. I never thought of it that way about like learning a science, as long as you're all starting from the same baseline of learning that you can keep up. And then now that you've been here, you know, it feels, it's a shame because basically now that you're here and you're acclimated and you feel more comfortable and confident, now it's time to move on to the next piece of your adventure. So, so you said that you are going to go back to China. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So,
I'm going back to China.
And, you know, I hate to state the obvious, but with everything going on with cities being locked down and flights being restricted because of the novel coronavirus, how is this affecting your plans to safely get home?
Yeah, it affects a lot, actually. I think the United Airlines as well as the American Airlines, like the two biggest airlines in the United States, are restricting all their flights, both to China and from China. So until the very early of April. But there are only like 30 days for me after my job ended, like a grace period for me to stay in the United States and do the packing stuff. So the thing is, I have to leave the border like around mid-March, and I need to find a place other than the U.S. to stay for at least another 2 to 3 weeks until like before I can actually see there's a flight ticket that I can buy to go home. So yeah, this is a very special moment that
And that's all, you know, I understand that rules and regulations are what they are, and you have to listen to the federal government, but it just makes me want to roll my eyes when I hear things like this. I understand there's a lot that I don't understand about immigration and all the paperwork, but I'm frustrated by it, to be completely honest. I'm sure you are too. So what are some of the, I don't know, what do you hope? I know that there's a lot that's uncertain and that there's a lot that you can't predict, but what are you hoping the future to bring for you? Like what do you want to do with your nursing career? And, you know, I don't know, what are your thoughts? Like if you could make anything happen, what would you want to see happen?
Nursing actually gave me a lot. Like building my confidence and make friends here. And so I think my future plan, that will be back to one of the reasons that I want to pursue nursing. That was, I saw a very, very big differences in the healthcare field, like especially healthcare practicing and back in my home country comparing to the United States. So, nurses don't do the same jobs. And you can tell from the occupational procedure, like social class position that nursing has, American nurses are like way higher than other countries. Because I mean, what I saw nurses back in my home country, they're mostly doing a lot of tedious jobs, like work more as a nursing assistant instead of a nurse, a bedside nurse.
Right.
So, and people don't value the nursing care much back in my home country, which I was thinking it's not right for me.
Right. That's
So
and that's unfortunate for all those nurses who I'm sure work very hard to provide the care that they're supposed to provide. So
people will respect doctors a lot more than nurses. They're thinking nurses are only doctor's helper. And
I mean, some people here in the United States that still feel that way, but I can see how socially, like culturally, it's a different level of respect. Because in the United States, as a nurse, you can earn, maybe not get rich, but you can like earn a good living. You can have a secure job.
Right.
Even though nurses in the United States do experience violence, do you feel like it's different? Is violence different against nurses?
Oh, people will see nurses back in my home more like a lower level of labor work. They can.
So it's kind of like
everything.
Here they say that nurses are like glorified, like bedpan emptiers and pill passers. So there is some of that, but overall our society does respect nurses. Like, all the polls that say that nurses are like one of the most respected and trusted professions. So what does that mean for you and your practice in the future? Like, where do you see this going?
Right. I hope if I'm coming back to my home country, I hope I can make a little different changes for like the people's thinking of how nurses are doing, and building up the respect for.
Tell them what it's really like and what nurses really do.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think I can do something for my country's healthcare field. It's more like that, and I've really learned a lot from here. I really, really appreciate all these resources that I have to build me as a nurse. So,
and I do think that American nursing also went through a period of time where nurses perhaps weren't as respected, or they were looked at as doctors' helpers, or as less skilled work. But I think that you do have the power to leave and go back. And even if you can't change an entire country's health system, obviously, but you can make change around you and the people around you. Without getting too personal, how does your family feel about you working as a nurse? Because if culturally it's looked at a little differently, did your family have concerns about you entering this profession?
They did. And my mom, like my parents still have some misunderstanding of what actually I was doing here. Actually, they were asking me yesterday from the video chat that we have. So at the very first, when I told them, yes, I'm probably gonna do nursing for my next couple years. My dad is actually like, oh, if you do a nursing job here, then can you stay? He's like that. Like you can find a job here, and you can live in the United States. And that was the time that he didn't know the policy, the paperwork has been changed. He was thinking, I mean, a lot of people were talking, oh, you go to the U.S., work as a nurse, then you will get everything.
Yeah, you just stay there, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's what my dad's perception. But my mom is like, after she saw, you're right, like the violences or the misconception that they had in Chinese hospitals, she's more worried about my physical health. Like if I might experience something serious in the hospital that I don't have support that I can help me. So yeah, that's a very different perceptions of both my parents and lots of my friends don't understand because they were thinking as nurses like you only have like a high school degree and then you can practice a nurse whatever you want. So a lot of my friends are asking, are you doing a nurse or you're doing like a doctor, like more
like what level
of nursing, not actually like as a bedside nurse that needs to like clean the bedpan or helping a patient move. They're thinking more towards that way. So yeah, and it takes a lot of time and effort to explain what actually going on here in my life and why I decided to go into nursing. So yeah, and it's still going on.
Yeah,
I need to do a lot of explanation.
And sometimes the people that care about us the most are the ones that they like my mom. My mom worked night shift when I was a kid, but she worries about me working night shift. Are you sleeping enough? Are you getting sick? Like, is this good for you? So even though my mom did the same thing, as our parents, they worry that they want us to have the best. They want us to be safe. They want us to have all of these things. And sometimes even, I don't even know that my mom, even though she knows what I do, I don't think she really knows some of the things that I do. And it's true. A lot of people don't realize that not just, around the world, I don't know that people realize that at least in terms of like nursing here or like other countries where nurses are of similar training and responsibility, when the doctor's not there, we're basically the doctor. Like we have to still call and check before we change anything, but like your doctor's not there. So like the other, 20, what's the saying? The other 23 hours of the day, I'm the one keeping you alive. And so I think that I wish I could go to them and say like, she is so smart and we're keeping people safe and we're keeping people moving towards improved health. It's not just, here's your medication that you take every day. We're actually like figuring out what is in your body and what can I do to make your body do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
So it's much more, there's a lot of, I don't know, we're doing lots of things. They say a nurse is a biologist, a waitress, a counselor, a spiritual guidance, like all of this.
We're everybody.
So we've talked about a lot of the things that were on my list. And I still have like 8 million more questions, but what are some things like I'm giving you a microphone right now. What are some things that you would want to communicate to either Chinese students that are thinking of coming to North America or students that are in the United States right now? Like, what are some pieces of advice or suggestions or cautions that you would give people?
Right. If you want to do a nursing job here, you need to have a very, very strong will. This is actually what you want to do. Not because of, probably a nursing job can give me a green card or support my life here. That could be one of the reasons that you come, but that's not the major one. It's more like, yes, that should be not the major. Otherwise, you won't persevere or it won't last long. Right.
Nursing is difficult.
Right.
Yeah. This is not an easy path.
But we have, as a foreigners, we have some advantage. It's more like what we already talked about. A lot of people, if they're speaking their mother language, they don't listen well, but we do, like the international nurses do. So what I found is while doing my work time, I tried very hard to focus what my patients are saying and what other colleagues are saying. So, because my energy, I need to be more concentrated to really understand what they're saying and then give them feedback that what I had for them. So yeah,
that's
we're good
interesting.
listeners.
I love that. I
Yeah.
never thought of that. See, this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because like at least 10 times I've thought, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. That's really interesting. And I think that is true. And it's like, it's what I've said before. That person is not, when you hear someone who's struggling with a new language, or not, I shouldn't even say struggling, because I don't feel like you struggle. You don't appear to struggle. But someone who is speaking a language that's not their mother language, I think if you're this smart in a language that you don't speak well, imagine how fucking smart you are if you're able to just like let loose in the language that you speak. Language is so, even when you speak the language fluently, language limits us so much.
Still there. Yeah.
And then when you take into account, then there's also body language and those nonverbal cues, or people that maybe aren't being totally honest with you. I mean, maybe these questions are a little bit more silly, but I'm curious, what were some things like in terms of like your living space or the food that you're able to acquire? Did you find the thing? Because you were in Texas. Texas is like the southern United States is not always known for being the most culturally diverse. What was that like? What was the like little day-to-day stuff that was most difficult?
Right. Right before I came to Iowa, I didn't notice that weather and foods are a very important part of impact, like have an effect on our daily moods, like how we feel for the day. It's like for the last, let's say 24 years, I live in warm places.
Yes.
And I have good access to food that I've been starting eating from my childhood. I don't have trouble finding food. I mean, since I came to here, I started to learn cooking, but it's okay that I can still buy the food that I can think of, and I can access that.
You can find it.
But but Iowa is not a very like Asian food resourceful places, and I was shocked the first time when I walked into the Asian market here in Coralville.
And it's tiny.
Wow. How small. And like the first thing coming into my mind was like, how could I live with that only one and the only Asian market that was very tiny for the last 3 or 4 years, at least for the for the next 3 or 4 years. Like that was impossible.
So even though I am American born and white, I am frustrated by the size of our Asian markets. And there are things that, like, for example, when I go back to Chicago, I load up on anything I can get that I can't get here because I go to the international market in Chicago and then I load up on, but like, it's funny because sometimes Doug and I will go into the Asian markets looking for certain things and they kind of look at us like, what do you know about that? Why are you buying gochujang? What are you doing? What's going on here? So I even feel frustrated by the lack of resources. So I can only imagine. And you're right. Iowa City is like the little liberal bubble in the middle of a very old white conservative state. As you learned. Yes, exactly. You don't have to be here long to figure that out.
Yeah. I can see that from our patient population.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, and the thing is that Iowa City itself has a fairly large international student population. So if we didn't have that, think about what that market would look like. Think about what the restaurant scene would be. Every time a new like Asian restaurant opens up, Doug and I get very, very excited because there's just not that much here, you know? And so yeah, sorry, I kind of took over that conversation, but yes, food is a huge issue that people don't think about. I mean, I can't even get things I grew up on, and I grew up 4 hours away. So very different.
Very different.
Yeah, and the weather too. So did you own a winter coat when you moved here?
I did, but not heavy
like
enough
what you need.
Keep me warm. Yeah. Oh. And that, like the slippery icy role that I've been experienced, I have absolutely no idea.
And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot ahead of you, but I wanted to take an opportunity to publicly say that I've really enjoyed working with you and that I do hope our paths cross again. I would love for there to be a time when you are able to, well, really, I want you to be able to do whatever you want to do. And if that means coming back to the States, I hope there's a passageway for that in the future. Yeah. But also, I don't want you to ever have to compromise what you want. Like, you shouldn't have to take an assignment in Idaho somewhere because you just wanted to stay. So, is there anything else you'd like to communicate to our listeners about anything at all? Anything at all?
Right. It's just a very tiny topic that I related to that we were having some, because I found it interesting was that most of my classmates or you guys that I work with, they're more like, oh, my mom is a nurse, and my parents, one of my parents working in the healthcare field, and I want to do that as well. And I found that it's very interesting and very respectful, because back in my country, people don't respect healthcare workers that much, and most of the time when we're talking to a doctor or nurses in a hospital, like what you expect your child to be, and they're like, anything except what I'm doing right now.
Oh,
but yeah, I was like,
that is very different.
You don't like your job, you're not proud of it. They're like, it's so tired, and it didn't earn as much that I expected. So there are the differences, and
huge differences, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a huge challenge, but I know that if there's anyone that can approach that kind of challenge with a positive attitude and a lot of determination, it's you. I also did want to say that I think that there's, especially with everything with everything going on with the novel coronavirus and the everything going on in China, one of the things that I read about that surprised me was that, and I don't remember the numbers exactly, so I'm going to get this statistic a little off, but it said that, for example, in like Hong Kong, which I know Hong Kong is kind of like a separate kind of place, but I heard that there's like for like millions of people, there's like maybe 100,000 doctors. So it's not even that so it's not even that there is like a vast network of people, like the population and so like when you go to see your doctor here in the United States, your doctor might have a couple hundred patients. It makes me wonder if, like, for example, in Hong Kong, you go to a doctor, how many patients are on that doctor's responsibility list? You know what I mean? Like, so I think that the healthcare system is just very different because of
very, very different. Yes, the ratio will be way way more to that we can actually imagine. Because back in China, a doctor can see hundreds of patients in one day.
Right. And so they potentially have thousands of patients. I think I saw something once that said there was a physician that had like 1,200 active patients at that time. And it's like,
but actually they don't know the patients very well. They're not their family doctors. They're just, they have some issues, the patients have some concerns, and they went to the doctor, whoever they're going to taking care of them. Right. It's more like that. So that we don't do much family care practice there, because we value family like a blood bounding family more than a society. It's more like a cultural issue. And related to that coronavirus thing, what I see from my perspective, it's more like we don't do preventions, like we don't value the community, like jobs of community nurse. Actually, we don't have that kind of occupational.
Right. Whereas like community-based nurses are very much working on illnesses and communicable illnesses and things like that, for sure.
Right. We don't have, we're lacking that big an amount kind of area.
But what a huge undertaking, not only because of just the land mass, just the amount of space you're trying to cover, and then all of the people, all of the cultural differences from region to region. It's just like in any country, the stuff that's good for the people in the North is not always going to be good for people in the South. Like there are so many different things to consider.
Very different.
Well, I hope you find your place. I hope you find a place where you can thrive and you can actually bring about some positive change.
Thank you.
I'm better for having known you, and I'm so grateful that you came and had this conversation with me. This is really important, and I appreciate you being so open and so willing to talk about these things with me on a recording.
Thank you so much for having me. I always wanted to say something on behalf of myself and my group. It's more, but I would love to say, like, for the past 3 years of nursing, whatever the study and the career that I have was the best years that I've had ever since. So
good. I'm so glad.
And people here I meet in Iowa is fabulous. It was more fabulous. So and
the internet exists, so we can keep in touch regardless of where you are on the planet.
Oh, thanks. And
yes,
we will,
of course.
Sure. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll pay for that VPN stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. And listeners, if you would like more nursing content, you can go to nursinguncensored.com. There's the blog, the vlog, the episodes, lots of other stuff. So that is all. I want to thank you again, Chen, for being my guest today. And all that's left to say is happy nursing, everybody. Here at Nursing Uncensored, we may be, uncensored, but we're not unfiltered. Protected health information has been changed and concealed to comply with HIPAA. The things we talk about are from years of experience with thousands of patients, things we've read, stories we've heard. If you think we're talking about you, we're not. Also, we're real nurses here to provide helpful and accurate information, but don't take anything we say as fact without doing your own research. Refer to your state's Board of Nursing, Practice Acts, and your institution's policies and procedures if you have questions about your practice. Lastly, our very strong opinions are ours alone and do not reflect those of our employers, educational, or professional institutions. Thanks for listening, and happy nursing, folks.